The worm tier list. Tirzu uploaded the video like 2 days ago, and I haven't reacted to it. So we're going to react to this video. Let's get it. Earthworm. Why does it so... It looks so different, bro. What the fuck? Since when worms can do that, bro? What?
The humble worm may be one of the most overlooked characters in the entire game.
It looked like one of those fantasy worms from Doom or some shit. Like, it can bite.
Though they may seem powerless and pathetic, in reality the worm faction has access to some of the rarest, most extraordinary special abilities in the game, and can be a nightmare to play against. But which worm builds are dominating the meta, and which are just bait? Find out in the worm tier list.
Worm tier list.
But before we dive into the rankings, what even is a worm? Even though they're the most numerous creatures in the game, technically there's no such thing as a single though they're the most numerous
80% of all individual animals on Earth? This has to be some kind of different wording that I'm not understanding, because 80% of all animals on Earth is worms is just ridiculous. I can't believe this statement. No.
Creatures in the game, technically there's no such thing as a single all-encompassing worm faction. Worm builds are actually part of several different, distantly related factions, but there are many similarities they share. All worms have long, tube-shaped character models with minimal or...
The fuck? Since when was this considered a worm too? Whenever I think of a worm, this is the furthest thing that comes to my mind. These other things, they look like some kind of random mass creatures. You could tell me they are snakes and I would believe you. That's how they look like. And this one, it looks like a centipede or a millipede. That's what it looks like. See, I remember names and I'm getting better at recognizing bugs, bruh. I've been watching more bugs videos lately.
Non-existent appendages, enabling them to weave in and out of tight spaces easily. Simple as it may be, this has proven to be one of the most reliable body plans in the history of the game, as worms have been in the game since pretty much patch 1.0. As far as base stats go, worms are not particularly stacked.
What the fuck is the HP and stealth? I thought worms were like easy to kill. No, they were basically food. And stealth is not bad either. They have good perception as well. Wait, they don't have eyes, right? How do they have such a good perception when they don't have eyes or any kind of sensory organs?
Now, credit where it's due, because of their excellent regenerative perks and uniquely advanced burrowing abilities, they do score pretty high in both vitality and stealth. And there are exceptions that score high in other stats as well. But in general, they have below average base stats in almost every skill. With simple brains, no weapons, no armor, and no legs, the average worm is pretty lacking in their intelligence, power, defense, and mobility stats. The exceptions are where it gets interesting though. So without further ado, let's dig into the tier list.
Ice worm.
First in F tier, the ice worm. This build takes the burrowing capabilities of the worm in an unconventional direction and opts to dig through glaciers rather than solid earth.
Glaciers?
This is a pretty unique gimmick as it grants them completely uncontested access to glacial algae as a food source.
But glacial algae means ice, right? I'm not tripping. So this is literally ice. Why does it look like jelly?
But unfortunately, it seems like unlocking the ability to burrow through ice must have cost all their evolution points, because the ice worm has some pretty glaring flaws in its strategy. First, the ice worm's stealth stat is abysmal. It's
Bro, these things are messed up, bro. Why do they look so small? I thought they were massive, but turns out they're like small little things. And they're black in a white background, which is like, you're standing out, bro. You're literally standing out too much.
Black appearance offers zero camouflage against the icy white surroundings, making them extremely easy for birds to spot from above and pick off. A few extra points.
I don't know, bro. They're too small to be seen at. Compared to the hand level, they're like this tiny. I could barely see them. If I was flying in the sky, I could barely see these things. How do you mean like easy to... I mean, it may be easy. Okay, it still would be easy because they contrast with the environment they're living in so much. They can easily be picked out even while you're flying. That's how bad their camouflage is.
Camouflage would go a long way here.
Yeah, definitely.
And the second flaw. Ice worms ironically have almost zero freezing resistance or heat resistance.
What?
They die immediately if temperatures drop below freezing, and melt if temperatures rise to even a few degrees above freezing. Luckily, due to a quirk of the game's physics engine, the temperature of glacial ice is fairly stable at their exact Goldilocks zone. But as we've seen lately, relying on glaciers as a stable habitat is quite the gamble. It wouldn't take too much to
climate change be coming for these dumbasses, bro. Very, very not nice.
Make this build completely broken, but for now, it's the lowest ranked worm on this list.
Earthworm.
Also in F tier, we have the earthworm.
Exactly,
Yes, it's
that's what I
true.
thought.
The archetypal worm everyone knows and loves is a low tier.
I don't know about Lavin, bro.
Earthworms have terrible stats. It has no offensive moves, no armor, and isn't quick enough to rely on speed to escape attacks. What's worse, even the one special ability earthworms are believed to have is a bit overrated. Earthworms, like most worms, can regenerate from damage and potentially even survive grievous wounds
Whoa.
if they manage to get away. But that's a big
They can't
if.
get away.
Most builds that spec into high passive health regen also tend to spec into the autonomy perk as well.
Autonomy.
This perk allows the user's appendages to break off if grabbed, allowing them to escape a grappling attack.
Oh, nice.
This is a costly ability and one that
I think for the spider it was worth it. No, like it lost one of its leg, but it has 8 of those things. Yeah, I'm trying to sound smart now. Let's go.
I normally don't speak very highly of, but situationally it can be extremely clutch. Earthworms do not have this perk, and so when attacked, they often cannot do anything except tank the damage and try to burrow away. If that doesn't work, they're completely out of options.
Leech. Leech was
In
the
D
worm
tier,
too.
we have the leech. As the literal namesake for the term used to describe deliberately being carried by the rest of your team, I actually think leeches are done a bit dirty. Yes, many leech players do fit the description, attacking a player in a higher weight class and just coasting off the free XP.
Easy.
But there are
I don't think this fish is having a good time. Look at this. It has a leech here. That's how
Fit
many
the
leeches are
description.
sitting,
Attacking the player.
I mean, sitting on top of its head.
in a higher weight class and just coasting off the free XP. But there are plenty of leech players who play an honest, active hunting strategy and have
Honest
to fight to survive, same as
Wait,
any
this was a leech? This is the definition of a sandworm. It's literally the sandworm, but smaller and significantly weaker, but it's still a sandworm-ass face.
other predatory build. Like most other aquatic builds, they thrive off of their strong matchup against low tiers like frogs, and spawn camp them mercilessly. Leeches share the same garbage base stats as most other worms though.
Garbage base
And with
stats.
lackluster defenses and mobility, they still get one-shot by fish, birds, and snakes all the time.
Bro, I don't know about the snakes, bro. At the last clip, we kind of saw the snake was struggling against a worm. Look at this.
If that doesn't work, they're
Look at this. This thing is not one-shotting this worm, bro. Not close at all. This thing is fighting for its food. It is fighting for its life. It looks like it's getting suffocated.
completely out of options.
This is not even close, bro. This snake is garbage. Hey, where were we at? Kind of lost.
Leeches share the same garbage base stats as most other worms though. And with lackluster defenses and mobility, they still get one-shot by fish, birds, and snakes all the time. Frankly, the parasite strategy might actually be the less viable of the two, as leeches are not well protected at all when attached to a host, and can easily get picked off by perceptive players.
Damn. Parasite strike's
In
not
C
worth
tier,
it.
we have the horsehair worm.
Horse here.
This nematode takes the burrowing proficiency of the worm faction and uses it for an unorthodox purpose, burrowing into flesh. Horsehair worm players opt for the parasitoid game plan.
Nah, I know these things, bro. I saw a clip of this shit before. Oh my god, it was so fucking disgusting, bro. It gave me nightmares. This was crazy. I hate this thing. I hate this thing more than the fucking leech.
Infecting their hosts when they drink from contaminated water.
Bro.
It then uses its burrowing ability to pierce the digestive tract and hide out in the insect's circulatory system, leeching XP from it as it continues its playthrough relatively unimpeded. But
actually want me,
once
but
the worm reaches its max level, it activates its special ability, Mind Control, to
Mind
change
Control?
the insect's quest objective marker to the nearest body of water. Once the insect player self-destructs, the worm burrows out of its body and continues with the rest of its playthrough. This strategy is incredibly effective
Jeez, Wazzy. Why are they all so large and why are there so many of them?
and requires very little technical skill, as once you successfully infect a host, you can
Bro,
farm
this is the true leech. This is a true fucking leech.
XP entirely AFK. Mind Control is one of the most powerful abilities in the game,
Mind
and it's
Control,
shocking the devs gave it to a random worm build. Still, as with any parasitoid playstyle,
Bro, they have biases for sure. They could have given that ability to me. Instead, they decided to give these random worms these abilities. I think they just want to see these mantises suffer. I think they're, what are they called? Mantises? I think that's what they're called.
the main downside is that your survival is tied to that of your host. So if you pick a scrub, you might get one shot when they accidentally wander too close to a spider's den. And this isn't just a hypothetical. In fact, in some servers, the fish player base is literally reliant on janitoring the self-destructing players. Still, at least by being an
Damn.
internal parasite, they don't run the risk of being picked
Smart idea, but it's better being a parasite like this than being an actual one of these things. But I still hate these things, so I hate them. This is my least favorite worm species so far. Put them in the
off
garbage
like leech
tier.
does.
Fire worm.
In B tier, we have the fireworm, a marine build with excellent defensive stats.
That's kinda cool.
Fireworms have toxic spines, which inflict serious damage on any player dumb enough to attack them.
Oh, damn.
This effect is powerful enough that even large tank builds cannot just eat
my
the
God.
damage, and
Zero
will
is
learn
mad,
quickly
bro.
not to mess with them.
Bro, he's mad.
Unfortunately for fireworm mains, because their spikes are small and fragile, they cannot pierce thick chitin or keratin armor. This means any player with a thick exoskeleton can completely negate the fireworm's defense and crush them like they would any other worm. Some fish mains have also spec'd into the beak attribute in order to be able to do the same
Since when fishes start to have beaks too? When was this an option, bro?
thing. Parrotfish and pufferfish are a
Parrotfish.
huge problem for builds that rely on defensive abilities, as their powerful beaks can crush armor and don't take damage from poison
Surprised they have
spikes.
beaks.
So, fireworms are untouchable to a lot of players, but there's enough counterplay prevalent in the meta right now that I can't give them a high tier
They're
rank.
too specialized. Can't.
Also in B tier, we
Giant
have the tube worm. Of all the lazy AFK XP farming builds in the game, there isn't a single one that goes to as extreme of lengths to do so as the tube worm. The tube worm
you're
has
sure about
crazy
that?
high toxic damage resistance. Not because it needs to tank venom damage, not because it preys upon builds that use poison for defense. No, the tube worm needs toxic damage resistance because its strategy is to set up shop next to deep sea hydrothermal vents and basically eat the sulfur jetting out from them. It absorbs hydrogen sulfide using its plume, and because of a special team-up ability they have with bacteria, they're actually able to use that as an XP source, meaning they don't even need to really eat at all. They don't need to find food, they just constantly absorb the noxious sulfur spewing out of these vents. Because the sulfide turns water around these vents toxic, the tube worm doesn't have to worry about attacks from predators. They do, however, have to worry about the vents shutting down. Hydrothermal vents do not last forever, and when they go dark or erupt into lava flows, it's GG for entire colonies of tube worms. An incredibly effective XP farming technique, but like a lot of these types of strats, it works until it doesn't.
Damn, bruh.
In A tier, we have the Velvet Worm.
Oh.
This build has even worse defensive
Okay, these
stats.
things are not worms anymore. What is this? I would say the C tier is the last time we actually seen worms. After that, we're just seeing centipedes dressed up as worms.
Than the other worms, as it doesn't have the same slime coating that the others do. However, it makes up for it by
Looks like a
converting
snail.
that slime ability into one of the most unique abilities in the
Combined
game,
with the
a
centipede.
projectile attack. The Velvet Worm
Damn, bruh. Why does it spraying its breast milk like
can
that?
fire a glue-like slime from its papillae. This slime attack deals no damage. It's not toxic and doesn't hit with near enough force to be threatening on its own.
It's
However,
just
the
spraying
slime
it for
is
the
sticky and hardens quickly, debuffing the target's speed stat and potentially even completely immobilizing it.
Whoa.
This
That's really
slime
smart.
is extremely strong once hardened, similar to Spider Silk in terms of what it's capable of immobilizing. Even builds with
That
vast,
was actually a crazy clip.
similar to
It just had this net ready just to be pouncing on this little spider. But you already jump in a smaller one compared to you and you still have weapons?
Spider Silk in terms of what it's capable of immobilizing.
What's not a small
Even
spider? It
builds
was an ant.
With vastly higher power stats are not safe from being essentially frozen by the Velvet Worm's attacks. Now, while this is no doubt a powerful ability, it has plenty of limitations. It is woefully inaccurate and will struggle to hit smaller or evasive
I think
targets
it's just
consistently. It is also relatively short-ranged, only being able to hit targets a few body lengths away.
So I-
And because it doesn't deal any direct damage, even if the Velvet Worm manages to pin down a build like the Centipede or Scorpion, it'll still be taking on considerable counterattack risk when it tries to approach.
Actually, yeah.
And last in A tier, we have the Bobbit
Last
Worm.
in me.
This build is easily one of the most terrifying things, not just in the Worm faction, but in the
Wait,
entire...
that last one was an A tier? I wasn't, bro. I thought that was like B tier or some shit, but it was A tier? In terms of being a worm, that thing is the most viable as a worm, okay? Ali, that's what I think so.
The Bobbit Worm is a mid-sized benthic worm build which can burrow up to 10 feet.
Bro, these things don't even look like worms anymore. They look like centipedes combined with the other species, like snails. They do not look like worms.
Deep into the ocean floor. However,
Or
unlike
millipedes.
most burrowing worm builds, the Bobbit
Oh my god, this thing is the true sandworm, bro. Look at the mouth. Look at the place that it goes deeper underground and just like wait for its prey to just come there and like bam, pounce on it. That's what it does. It's literally stat. This is the stat for it.
worm
Crazy.
is not a scavenger. It's not burrowing to look for food scraps or to
An ambush
escape
hunter.
predators. No, the Bobbit Worm is an ambush build. It lies in
Oh my
wait.
god, how did you take that down? That thing was like 2-3 times larger than you. That was
Or
like
to escape
significantly
predators.
larger than you.
No, the Bobbit Worm
I thought I was just trying it, but turns out you can actually do it.
is an ambush build.
Look at the power, bro. That was crazy speed, crazy power, crazy.
It lies in wait, and as soon as another player wanders close enough to its
small one.
burrow, it strikes, using what may genuinely be the most wicked pair of mandibles in the entire game.
I was underestimating that fish. Sorry fish, for ever underestimating you or ever doubting you. He just said these are the quickest mandibles and showed it being the least fastest mandibles ever. But that was actually fast. So this thing is actually fast, but that fish was just better. The fish was just better, bro.
These powerful jaws inflict devastating damage, while simultaneously hooking into their target so that it can be dragged down below the ocean floor, never to be
drowning.
seen again. Now, despite their ferocity, I don't want to overhype the bobbit worm. Though they are menacing, skilled players can play around their threat range pretty easily. Their low perception stats make them pretty inaccurate when lunging towards their targets.
What was that, bro? I thought you were some crazy ass demon, but it turns out you can't even see shit. What the fuck was that? That was the worst. Why was it so accurate in the first 3 clips and now it's just so shit all of a sudden? It can't even capture that fish, bro. It wasn't even. Come on,
Their
bro.
attacks are deceptively slow, and as long as you position yourself even slightly above the seabed, they should be reactable and easily dodged. Skilled fish players have even been known to drive bobbit worm players out of their territory by teaming up and mobbing their burrows.
Damn.
This requires a successful perception check with a pretty high DC, but if your party is competent enough, you really shouldn't have to worry about bobbit worms that much. Despite being easily the most terrifying build on this list, the bobbit worm's poor frame data and predictable game plan keeps it out of the higher tiers. And in S tier, we have the
This is S tier. This thing is S tier. Finally, we are back to being worms again, but it looks like a slug, to be honest. Anything about C tier does not look like a worm. Okay, this thing kind of looks like a slug, but with a hammerhead.
Hammerhead Flatworm. Flatworms are the solo hunters of the worm faction, and the Hammerhead Flatworm is one of the best at it. They're faster than other worms, which isn't saying a lot, but still, it's
I don't know about that, bro. It's like it really is not saying a lot. This is the slowest movement I've seen so far, bro. It is slower than snails, slugs even.
relevant. They possess a devastatingly powerful neurotoxic slime, the same toxin found in pufferfish and blue-ringed octopus, which they employ both offensively and defensively.
That is really poisonous. I don't know about how poisonous octopuses are. I mean, pufferfishes are, but I know that blue-ringed octopus is crazy poisonous.
But their most recognizable feature, their wide, flat head, was a bit of a gamble in terms of how they spent their evolution points.
Oh, really?
By speccing into the hammerhead attribute, these flatworms sacrificed their ability to dig efficiently. But in doing so, they greatly boosted their perception stat. Similar to the hammerhead shark, the flatworm's hammerhead is loaded with chemoreceptors, enabling the worm to track down prey by following its scent. In addition to their toxic defense, flatworms are the best regenerators in the game, able to heal all the way back to full health, even when cut into tiny pieces. They can really only be permanently defeated by non-physical damage.
So if we cut them into different pieces, they just turn into an entirely different worm on its own? That is crazy, bro. These things are immortal. They're the immortal worms.
Tiny pieces. They can really only be permanently defeated by non-physical damage, such as dehydration, salt, acid, that sort of thing. Because it's borderline
Can't you just burn them? I think burning is a good stat against regeneration. I'm just saying, bro.
unkillable through conventional combat, the hammerhead
Or conventional combat. I don't think conventional combatants do have fire. Like, the things that this flatworm goes against are probably do not have fire as their weapon. But if it went against humans, we know what to use against this shit, bro. Fire, just burn
flatworm
it.
is the only worm build to achieve the rank of S tier.
Damn.
The hammerhead flatworm's excellent tracking abilities ensure that even without eyes, it knows exactly where it's going. And even though I do have eyes, to be totally honest, sometimes I still get lost while exploring the internet. Or at least I used to, until I started using today's sponsor, Opera.
Jesus Christ,
Opera
I'm
is
never
my
right.
new main